Folks, you realize what's going to happen if Donald Trump is... well, let's put it this way. Mitch McConnell. Let's play this clip. Here's Mitch McConnell on Fox News. He is talking about the Senate trial. It's clip number 4. And when I was at the legal conference in October, I was like, I don't know if Mitch McConnell's going to have a trial. And there was a guy there I was having a conversation with politics about, and he's like, he's got to. John Roberts is going to take over this whole thing, and John Roberts is going to run the whole thing. And I said, I don't know how it works. I know that he oversees it to the extent that there's a trial, but I'm not convinced that Mitch McConnell really wants to play this out too much. And so it appears, this is, I'm sorry, number 3 I apologize. It appears that Mitch McConnell, and of course he's coordinating with the White House counsel because, he's not an impartial jury, I guess. But Mitch McConnell is, I think, going to just try and get this over very, very quickly. We heard reports back at that time, like, we're going to draw this out for months and months and months. And that was a threat because it was trying to make it look like they think this is a big winner for them. And that's all this game is going to be. The Republicans are going to try and make it look like it's a big winner for them. It is not. I think we're going to see the benefit in the Senate. I think the longer it goes on, the more benefit it would be in the Senate. But there's a reason. Remember, Mitch McConnell controls all this. If he wanted to bring up every single witness and call any witness he wanted to, he could. He could, but he is convinced that that would be a disaster for the Republicans. The more the American public understands about this, and then also the longer this process takes, because there's still subpoenas going through the courts, who knows what the next thing, like even Donald Trump himself was like, I can't believe this is the thing I'm getting impeached on. I've been doing so many other stuff. They get me on the tiny thing. It's always that way. Here's Mitch McConnell explaining to Sean Hannity really how they're going to race this thing through.
A lot of people would like to bring in Adam Schiff, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden. I think I'm more inclined to agree with Senator Graham on this. It's tempting, and I do believe that all of those things must be looked into. There are a lot of real questions here. But I don't know if that would be the appropriate forum once you would have the 51 votes at that point to end this, which, again, very weak case. I think it would be smart to do so. Where would your inclination be?
Okay. Now, everybody knows that Sean Hannity is one of Trump's top advisors, right? Like Sean Hannity, there's nothing they're saying here that has not already been discussed. Do you watch what Sean Hannity just did there? There are people who want, in other words, right-wing Republicans who want, Shifty Schiff in there and Drunky Biden and Sleepy Joe and Lisa Page and Peter Strzok. And I want to get everybody in here, and we want to get, Misfit, and we want to get, the Ken Vogel in from Politico, and get Jonathan Solomon in from the Hill, and have them all. And based upon what you know about Republicans and the 47 different investigations they did into Benghazi, why wouldn't they bring these people in? They don't, because they're afraid. They are afraid. And this just goes to my argument as to how Nancy Pelosi is rushing this thing too much. She's too afraid of it. These guys are more afraid. Mitch McConnell's very afraid. This is all about the Senate. This is all about the Senate. All right, continue.
Very weak case. I think it would be smart to do so. Where would your inclination be?
Yeah, again, I'm going to take my cues from the president's lawyers. But yes, if you know you have the votes, you've listened to the arguments on both sides, and believe the case is so slim.
Yeah. If you believe it's so slim, well, the reason why we're doing it is because their case is so bad that we don't want to bring in and blow up their case with all our nuclear weapons. Right. that is obviously not the case. Here's Donald Trump, and now McConnell, incidentally, there's a reason why he's saying I'm doing what the White House has told me to do, because he doesn't know what to do here either, and he's just basically trying to stay. He doesn't want to get blown up in this. There are landmines for everybody in this, in the Republican Party. And so here is Donald Trump, and he's going to say, like, I'll go in there, I'll do whatever. They're all pretending. They're all pretending that this is no problem. We'll go in, do it, I'll do it, whatever. It's all pretend.
Do you prefer a short process in the Senate or a more extended process?
Well, I've heard Lindsey Graham, who's terrific, and I heard his statement, and I like that. And I'll do whatever I want. Look, we did nothing wrong. So I'll do long or short. I've heard Mitch, I've heard Lindsey. I think they are very much on agreement on some concept. I'll do whatever they want to do. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't mind a long process because I'd like to see the whistleblower, who's a fraud. The whistleblower wrote a false report. And I really blew it up when I released the transcript of the call. And then Schiff gets up, and I blew him up too, because he went up in front of Congress and he made a statement about what I said that was totally false. And then a long time after he made it, when he got caught, he said, that was parody. Now, Schiff is a crooked, he's a corrupt politician and a disgrace. And because of the fact he's in Congress, he's got immunity, so you can't do anything.
Okay. Did you note here that McConnell's saying, I'm doing it because the president wants me to do it. And the president's saying, I'm doing it because Lindsey and Mitch want to do it. They're afraid. And the one thing that could really blow this up, I don't know if folks remember this, but like 3 years ago, at the beginning of the Trump administration, there was always this dynamic where Trump would say something that would handcuff Paul Ryan and McConnell. And Trump could get to the point where he's like, yeah, I want a big one. I want to blow them all up. I need to blow them all up. Like if he gets a response on Facebook or something like that, like where all his followers are like, yeah, we demand it. He may.
If we could psyop Trump into testifying.
Never mind him testifying.
Or just blowing it up.
Look, just bring in the parade of people. Because once the parade starts, it becomes, everything flips, right? It's not the Democrats pursuing impeachment. It's the Republicans. And there's no scenario where it doesn't work out well, first of all, for progressives, and I'm convinced for Democrats. Because at the end of the day, Hunter Biden can be the most corrupt individual in the world, and no one's going to have to ever vote against him.
Do you think that Trump believes his own lies on some level, or do you think he thinks he's playing like 20-dimensional chess? Like, I'm going to say that I have nothing to hide, and that way they'll be like, never mind.
I don't even think you can make an assessment on either one of those planes. Like, I think he.
How do you think he honestly feels about the transcript? Do you think he thinks it's this beautiful thing that?
I think he must have thought, like, look, I'm president. This is the way you do business. And if it's bad for me, it's bad for the country. Like, I don't think he has the ability to sort of differentiate between those things. And so I think I think like the decision as to whether Schiff did right or wrong, I think that's made so early in the process, and it's such a tiny decision. And then it becomes like once that basic premise is done and over, I don't think he ever revisits that premise. And then I think he just goes on in this other reality. I mean, I think to a certain extent, that's the truth of conservatives, broadly speaking. Like I've seen for years Sean Hannity lie about stuff, very basic stuff. And I don't see how a human being could revisit that lie every time. I think they make the decision early on and then just boom.
And they're surrounded by people who agree with it.
Yeah. I just keep remembering this thing. they did a documentary on schizophrenics in New York City, like this is 30 years ago. And they would follow schizophrenics around. And there was this one guy they were following who was convinced he was being followed. And you see, like and the whole thing about him was that he had one assumption that was wrong, but everything else after that fit into that assumption. And of course, he was being followed. We were watching him on camera the whole time. And so once he made that assumption that he was being followed, which ended up getting him a documentary crew following him, everything else sort of fit into it. And so like when he would go to the payphone and the phone was down, hanging from the wire as opposed to up, it all made sense in the world that he had constructed. And then there was also this sort of like one sort of basic fact that was always there, like that you wonder, like, oh, wait, this doesn't seem appropriate for the documentary crew. Like, of course this guy has this feeling he's being followed. He's literally being followed in a way that none of us are. And I think there's like a quality to that of these people. There is like some of them. And then some of them I think are just like they're grifters. But
do you think Trump, or do you think Trump actually thought Obama was born in Kenya?
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. I think he thought it could be. Seems suspicious. Also working very well for me. And if it's working well for me, it's like it's true. I think it's really the calculation that works in his head. I don't even think he articulates that, but I think that's the case. Like if he's getting good response, it could be true.